Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Breaking It Down podcast, hosted by yours truly, Mark Mancini in Los Angeles. I'm so blessed. This guy is a public figure. He's the voice, the public address announcer of the Anaheim Ducks, Phil Hulett. Phil, I am blessed to do this interview with you, my friend. How are you?
I am well, Mark. Thank you very much. And it's an honor to be on Breaking It Down
Yeah, breaking
because
it
that's
down.
what you do.
Yeah, we try to break it down. I don't know if we use a chisel or a hammer or whatever, but we break it down. Hey, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. I know you got a great website and everything. And
I'm easy to find. I'm working on the website. It's so far behind, but if you want to go there, philhulett.com. But I'm on all the socials at Phil Hulett. Spell it right, Hulett. There's one L, two T's.
yeah,
And I just added a TikTok account. I don't know why, but a bunch of people are following me. I have no content, but I might come up with some videos this season for that. I'm just joining all the other social medias that are out there, and eventually I'll do something there. But the big three, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook,
yeah.
not too hard to find me there. In fact, if you Google my name, very often my phone number comes up. Don't tell anybody I said
No,
that.
no, we'll
But
keep that under
yeah.
wraps. But you know what? What's impressive is how you started. I know you're a Long Beach grad, and um, who was instrumental in getting you into broadcasting besides maybe your dad and mom? Was there
Yeah,
somebody?
I've been on the radio since the late 1970s, and mom and dad did not support that. I mean, my dad
Right.
was a total blue collar and expected me to just punch a time clock and put in a good day's work and come home, kick off the shoes, kick the dog, sit down on the couch, crack a beer open, and watch TV. That's the life that I think he had in mind for me. But when my voice changed, I had a
Yeah.
reel-to-reel recorder in my bedroom and a five-band uh, radio. And I used to listen to KNAC in Los Angeles. This was back in the 70s, the mid-70s, 1974, 75. And I used to record the music and stop recording when the DJs came on, and I would record my voice. I created my own radio station, KROT, K-Rot, Rotten Radio. And I used to play that for my buddies, and they all listened to KNAC back in the day. But since they already liked the music, they liked my version of the station better, and that was the impetus I needed to continue on. And I just became geeked on radio. I listened to the beginnings of FM when everything was underground, and the disc jockeys would come on, and there were no rules. They would just
Right.
pontificate about the predictions of Nostradamus, and then play some Ravi Shankar sitar in the background, and then go into Black Sabbath, and then Bob Dylan, and then read poetry. And it was just crazy. Disc jockeys like Stephen Clean and B. Mitchell Reed and Outrageous Nevada, who I used to listen
Right.
to in Los Angeles. And they were just, it was so inspiring. And I started listening to them when I was 9 or 10 years old, when I still
Wow.
had a squeaky kid voice. I was listening to K93 KHJ, Boss Radio, until I
Yeah.
was 9. And then I started hearing what was happening on FM, and I flipped at an early age, and really fell in love with radio, and started doing that. I was playing basketball in my driveway every day with my friends. Ours was the house with the long driveway, so it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
perfect for playing basketball. And while we played basketball, I was a huge Lakers fan too. And I can't anymore, but back then I used to be able to nail, at least in my head, I was nailing Chick
Yeah.
Hearn
Yeah.
doing the play-by-play while we were playing basketball. And
Yeah.
my next door neighbor, Ben, he had a shot just like Jerry West. He even looked a little like him, and he would just drain the 15 and 20 footers in the driveway. And so he was Jerry West, and I was Chamberlain, and we just had a
Gail
lot of fun.
Goodrich.
Yeah, Gail Goodrich was out there, and
Happy Hairston.
since I was a lefty, I was often Gail Goodrich too. But
Hey,
I would get the sky hook and the finger
yeah.
roll going,
Are you surprised nobody's mastered that sky hook?
No, it's not even a popular shot.
Yeah, I do. It was funny. I used to try to do that, and I would make it maybe 1 out of 10, but I was
Yeah.
always the being 6 foot, you try to, get them 5 foot guys down low
Yeah.
and try to throw it. But yeah,
I
it's
was good at
amazing.
that. I was 6 foot, 6'1" by the time I was 15. And so I was the tallest 15-year-old in our park league. And so I was the top scorer in our park league, and the high school recruited me. And then when I got to high school, the centers were 6'5", and they wanted me to be a guard. Well, I never learned how to be a guard. I couldn't dribble the ball down the court and start a play if my life depended on it. So got out of that and focused on talking into microphones. And
Well, let me ask you something about, I always say, and I'll be 64 in November. Feel
mhm,
like I'm 35.
yeah,
But that's a story for another day.
sure.
I've always said the baseball, football, the 70s were amazing. I think nobody can touch the 70s in six, following baseball, football for about 6 decades now. Nobody can touch the 70s. That's just one man's opinion. Would you say the same with concerts and music,
Oh,
with all the things that have gone on since the day
well,
with
that's an easy thing. Kids these days, they don't have any musical taste, right? I mean, every
right?
generation says that, and but it's satisfying to know that a lot of kids in the 20 somethings
Yeah,
are really falling in love with 1970s classic rock, which I think is gratifying, because when you listen to a band like Queen, for instance, and how much went into one song
yeah.
versus how very little goes into a pop music song these days. Um, it's such a it's such an eye opener. If they have an ounce of music appreciation, then they're going to be turned on by that music. And the concerts were great. The attitudes were great. I mean, I remember going to festival style seating where there was no seating, and everybody used to pack into let's say at Angel Stadium. uh,
Yeah.
Used to
Cal Jam.
pack into Angel Stadium and get out there in front of the stage, which was out in center field, and everybody's on the grass, and everybody's got room to stretch their arms out. Nobody's squeezing, nobody's pushing toward the front, and somebody always brings a blanket, and there's like five guys holding the blanket, and they're tossing this girl way up in the air like trampoline style. And people would bring coolers, and it was just because people were cool, and it's unfortunate that there's not as much respect amongst people these days. But I don't want to
So
sound like grandpa.
yeah, give me your Mount Rushmore. Give me four top groups in music that would be your Mount Rushmore.
Oh, wow.
That might
Okay.
be a loaded question.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably a loaded question. I'm a Zappa-phile, so I got to put Frank
Yeah,
Zappa up there.
yeah,
I've always loved, and I still am heartbroken that Jeff Beck has died. So I would
yeah.
put Jeff Beck up
Sad.
there. In terms of bands, I'm gonna go heavier, and I'm gonna go probably uh, more like a progressive rock kind of
Yeah,
thing. But definitely got to have Metallica up there.
yeah,
Just picking four on Mount Rushmore is impossible,
yeah. There's
because
so
I've
many
got
of them.
I've got about 15 or 20 progressive rock bands, not just from the 70s, but the
Yeah,
progressive metal bands from
we could
today.
put them around the mountain and on the sides of the mountain.
Yeah, right. Over the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, getting into the Ducks. God, you're going on 30 years, man. The public address announcer. You've seen all these guys come through. You've seen
Hmm.
legends come through there.
Yeah.
It's simply amazing what the Ducks have accomplished and where they're going.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a great time. It's been a long time. It
yeah,
seems like it's been 10 years of a combination of rebuilding and wallowing. It's like we haven't been able to get out of second gear. But there's so much talent on this team, and the new coaching staff behind Joel Quenneville.
yeah,
I am so excited to see what's happening. I mean, some of the assistant coaches that they brought in, who are going to take over the power play and the penalty kill, and defense and goaltending and all this sort of thing. It's just amazing to think about the potential. Um, I'm realistic because nothing's
Right.
guaranteed. I mean, with all the great talent that we have on this team, the Western Conference is stacked.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Dallas, Vegas, Colorado, St. Louis, Connor Bedard. Who knows what's going to happen with Chicago? They might still end
Yeah.
up in last place, but who knows? He could have an amazing 150-point season. St. Louis has Robert Thomas. You know, everybody expects him to get triple digits in points, but the Ducks literally have 10 guys that are going to have 50-plus point seasons, and
Yeah.
and and in my estimation, and again, I'm just the public address announcer.
Right.
I don't want to
Right.
get in trouble for going out on a limb and saying anything that is out of school, right? But I don't believe that anybody on the Ducks has had a breakout season for the Ducks yet. And so if Carlson or Gauthier or McTavish, please sign the guy. McTavish, Troy Terry, Beckett Seneca, you know, the
Right.
kid comes up at 19 years old. If any of these, if 2 or 3 of these guys have breakout seasons and they get 70-plus points, it's going to be tough to not make the postseason. And then once you get there, if you're like the 7th or 8th seed and you've got nothing to lose, all of a sudden you're the giant killer.
Well,
You
I've
know?
always said this, and Phil, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes you got to get the kid out of the big city where they can focus just on the sport they're playing. Now you get Kreider, and he's a big weapon to bring in from the Rangers. But you bring it last year, Vetrano, Truba. You bring it's almost Rangers West out here, but
Yeah.
you get them out of that bright lights big city. I think now they can really take that level up even higher. Is that
Mhm.
is that pretty agreeable?
Well, yeah, getting out of New York is probably a good thing from what I hear. I mean, the media alone just can tear you apart if you've got thin skin. But bear in mind where the Ducks play,
Yeah,
it's a rare area
yeah,
in the country. I mean, everywhere you go, it's affluent. It's at least upper middle class when you pull out of
right.
the driveway, but then when you go to where these guys live, it's 20-30 million dollar homes
Yes.
with ocean views. I mean, it is just, I mean, how would any player in the league not want to play in Anaheim if they came out here and Teemu Solani took them on a tour of the Newport Coast?
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy how that is. And I always worry, and I don't know if this is a thing, but I always worry if that kind of environment um, eats into your hunger a little bit, you know?
Well, I've always said if I was 20 and I was being drafted in baseball, the Pirates would be number one. But I would
Okay.
San Diego would be number two, and then you get into cities like Boston, Philly, and St. Louis. Now, I didn't pick any big cities here, and the reason why is I'm looking at Boston and Philly, and Anaheim pulls in everything from San Diego. There, you really can take over the town because these guys are really. It's almost like they love the guy that's a grinder. They love the hard work.
Hmm.
And sometimes in a big city like New York or something or Chicago, you get sidetracked and you're trying to keep up with everybody as far as who played there before. But I think in some of these other cities, like Philly, Boston, San Diego, you bust your rear and give 100%, you're going to be a folk hero in that town.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. Incidentally, I mean, you mentioned that the Ducks draw from San Diego. I
Yeah,
don't know if it's still the case, but there was a time when a large percentage of the season ticket holders in Anaheim lived in San Diego County.
yeah,
And so that's a great thing. I mean, we have the San Diego Gulls now. That's our AHL team, and they sell a ton of tickets down there.
right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the NHL doesn't expand to San Diego at some point.
Yeah, I like, and it's funny because when I look at the four sports and you tell people about hockey, and maybe they look at it like golf, it's hard to get into, you got to buy all this equipment, but now where it's expanded, and what Ovechkin's done is tremendous, but man, what Wayne Gretzky did was simply amazing to get the West to where it is now, where you have teams in San Jose. We talked in the pre-chat about Vegas. It's sorry to see that didn't work out in Phoenix, but they've moved over to Utah now. I think it won't be long before we can see somebody in Houston. You might want to add teams. Maybe Portland will have something sooner or later. But I like where hockey is moving forward.
Houston's had a pretty successful minor league team for some
Yeah.
time. Was it the is it the Arrows?
Arrows. Yeah.
Houston Arrows, like
Yeah.
aeroplane. AERO. Yeah.
And then we get them in Nashville, and people might have looked at, Florida. Well, we only go down there to, escape the snow. But look what Florida's done in Tampa. Those two teams have won the last four cups pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. I think about some of the old timers in the NHL who would perhaps come back from the grave and say, "Wait a
Yeah.
minute, what? There's a team in Vegas? What? There's a team in Nashville? And almost everybody was Canadian, right?" But the truth is, guys like Gordie Howe and Rocket Richard and all they lived to like 2000, or
Yeah.
so they saw the expansion out west.
Are you?
They
Yeah.
saw teams in the South,
Right.
in Atlanta and South Carolina,
Are you
North Carolina.
surprised hockey hasn't got back in Quebec City and Hartford?
Um, I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting question. I don't really
Yeah.
know the math
Right.
behind that. You know, Salt Lake City doesn't
Yeah.
have a huge population, but I had somebody school me about that because I mentioned that online once. I said, how can a city with this population support a team? And then they schooled me on it. They said, well, look, people drive from all over the state to come to the games, and there will be people coming in from Colorado, for goodness sakes,
Right.
to come see
So
games when the
preparation.
Avalanche play.
Yeah. Yeah. To prepare for a game, I imagine you get down there super early, go over everything.
hmm
You've done it all. You've done the Angels, you've done the Blades, you've done the Ice Dogs, you've done uh, all this stuff. Hockey. Is there a difference, announcing hockey more so than baseball, except maybe trying to get the French down, the names down?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a routine for the names I could tell you about, but baseball used to be easier, but then they sped the game up a
Yeah.
great deal. And so baseball is relatively routine. You do the announcements in between the innings or contests, whatever. And then you announce who's at bat. And
Right.
that's not all that difficult. But then when you get near the seventh or the eighth inning, or maybe it's a strange day, maybe it's a doubleheader, and then they start making defensive changes
Yeah.
and you have absolutely no time before the batter has to climb into the box and prepare for a pitch. And so if they have three or four defensive changes, there's almost no time to get that out. But that's the public address announcer's job, to announce that, to make it official. So I'd say that's become a little more difficult, and it makes you anxious when you know the late innings are coming, that those changes are coming. So you kind of get in that mind frame where you're holding the binoculars up to your
Yeah.
eyes to make sure that you see all the changes. But what's nice is when you do that, any public address announcer job, you've got a lot of eyes. They all have headsets on. They're all
Yeah.
talking in the comm, and I can hear them. And I'll say, "Hey guys, help me out. Who's new out in the outfield? I'll check the infield." And then I'm just writing down the numbers. This guy for that guy. This guy for that guy, and then I announce it. And the pinch hitter or the pinch runner, maybe they stay in the game to play, and maybe it gets tricky. Maybe the shortstop gets replaced by a new guy, but the shortstop moves to third or
Right.
moves to second. And so that's the trickiest part about baseball. Other than that, it's relatively easy. Now for hockey, it's a different sport, and it's a different level of adrenaline.
Right.
I mean, you're constantly hyped up watching hockey. Baseball, you kick your feet up and eat a
Yeah.
hot dog, drink a beer. Not when you're the PA announcer, but that's
Right.
the
Right.
attitude, right?
Right.
It's just, kick back and enjoy the game. But you're on the edge of your seat at a hockey game.
Yeah. And you know what I like about you? It reminds me of me. And I think we all have strengths. and you're going to find your strength. And what I like about you is you're authentic. You got a great personality. And we talked about this earlier, a relentless energy, and it kind of feeds. Now, when you do the broadcast, that must feed to the players too, as far as when you do the public address announcing. Do you ever get guys going, "Hey, I like that," the way you announced it and stuff? Because you can't fake the gift you have. And when you have that gift, it's very unique
Yeah.
in more ways than one.
I've seen over the years, back when you were allowed, the league doesn't let us anymore, but back when we were allowed to sit down in the referees circle, right on the ice, right on the red
Yeah.
line. That's where the PA announcers used to sit. But
Yeah.
since COVID, they moved us out, and now it's the rule. They don't want the PA announcers anywhere near the ice, which is unfortunate. We're still
Yeah.
in the rule book, by the way, talking to the referees. Well, we can't talk to the referees where we're sitting now. So take us out of the rule books,
Yeah.
Commissioner. But anyway, I do recall several occasions where players would hear me say something, and then they'd look at me with a wink or a smile or something like that,
Yeah.
or a thumbs up, or they'd skate over and punch the glass in front of me.
Well, I've always kind of had this philosophy. Hockey and baseball players are the best interviews. The football and basketball, they're in town so quick. But with hockey, they'll spend time with you. You can catch them on the rink and everything. Basketball and football, like I said, it's hard to really get a sit down interview with them all the time. But unless you're covering them. But baseball, you can spend 3-4 days with because they come in on a 3-day road trip. Um, is that pretty right on the money
Yeah, I
in
think it
some
is,
ways?
especially with the hockey players. I've always said that they are gracious, they're
Yeah,
humble, they will spend all kinds of time, most of them, hanging out with fans. They almost seem vulnerable. I used to, when I was early in my hockey announcing career, I used to liken a lot of the players to farmers,
yeah,
you know, where they weren't groomed to be,
yeah,
limelight superstars. They were groomed to drive a tractor
yeah.
and
John
play
Deere.
and play hockey, whenever they had a chance to do that. And so now they're in the league, and you just get these genuine guys talking. Sure, they still use the hockey or the sports platitudes. We got to focus on our system and work as a team, and we can't worry about the first period. We got the second period ahead of us, and as long as we do that, then everything's going to work out. They all do that. They're all trained to do that because obviously the team or the coaching staff doesn't want them to say anything that's going to become a headline.
Right. And look
But
at look. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Over the years, you've seen a lot of opponents come in. You've seen a lot of ducks and Timu Solani, Paul Correa, Guy Heber.
yeah,
So many of these guys. I mean, and you must build those friendships, and they become solid over the years. Because I've always said, money comes and goes. Relationships are priceless.
yeah, they are. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of opportunities to hang
Right.
out with the players. When I do see them, it's usually at charity events,
Yeah.
charity hockey games. That's when I have an opportunity to talk to guys like Ryan Getzlaff or Teemu Solani on a number of occasions. Um, but generally speaking, uh, the players are they're in their own sphere, and I'm in
Yeah.
my own sphere. I come to the game, and I walk in a completely different direction from where the players go.
Right.
I'll,
Right.
I'll I'll see them in the hallway and say hello. When they're walking toward the locker room, I might be walking toward the press dining room to get some
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
I do remember Trevor Zegras walking down the
Ah.
hallway. Sorry to see him go, but
Yeah.
he's on another team now, and watch, he'll have a breakout season. But he's walking down the hallway, and he's got these Skechers that the Ducks collaborated with Skechers with
Right,
logos
right,
and all of
right,
that. And
right.
he's walking down the hallway with his floodwater pants on, and so you can see his ankles and you can see the shoes. And I said, nice kicks, Trev.
Yeah,
and and he busted out laughing. He said, "Hey man, thanks."
yeah, yeah.
and
And that's what it is. You find a fine line where you can kind of, uh, you know, be the same with them, whether it's the city you're from or your dad's city or your mom's city or whatever, and you get that, or maybe it might be a music group or something, or that's what drives them towards you, and then every time before that, you just kind of fine tune it. But yeah, I mean that's amazing. And talking about the opponents coming in, man, you must have seen some great guys come in over the years, from Mario Lemieux, the Crosby,
oh yeah,
Ovechkin. We've seen,
all of those
you've
guys.
seen them all.
Gretzky
Um,
for sure.
yeah,
Just about everybody from. I mean, I started in 1996, so you could look back and
yeah,
see who was playing back then, and then to go in the postseason and to destroy the Detroit Red Wings was
yeah,
amazing. The game that would not end and finally did end against Dallas, I believe, in the
yeah,
postseason, and you know the Stanley Cup final against New Jersey,
yeah.
and how every win was won at home. And I think if they were still playing that series today, it would be something like 129 to 128 wins, and they have to keep going until they figure out who's going to
Right.
ultimately take the cup, because that was just so evenly matched. And it was just a great series, and that was the first time I heard Stanley Cup final crowds. The
Yeah.
fans were just intensely loud,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
it was it was crazy loud, maybe even louder than the year that we won in '07. But it was just absolutely crazy.
It's amazing. Hey, the Ducks honored you a couple years ago. That must have been something.
Oh, are you talking about the 1,000 games?
Yeah.
Oh, that was actually last season.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm at I don't know, 1,020 or so
Yeah.
now. So
That must have been. I think it
regular
was in. I
regular
think it was in
season games.
December.
Yeah, regular season
Yeah.
games. And yeah, they did a wonderful job. They got the players to sign a sweater, and they stuck it in a frame. I've got it on the wall right outside my
Yeah.
studio here, and they made posters with my face on it, and gave me yeah, I don't know if you can see this.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Gave gave me this right here.
Wow.
That's the NHL scorecard,
Yeah.
um, and they turned it into a piece of metal, and they stuck a puck from that day, and the off ice officials actually put this together for me. So that was a nice thing.
That was very nice. What a class act that organization is.
Yeah, yeah. They let
Uh,
my whole family in. They brought us all out, down on the ice. They fed us. They
wow.
just a,
It.
like you say,
Yeah.
class act. Really did
That
a great job.
that's what it is. The organizations. When you look at organizations, you look at the top on down, and it just seems like it's going to be something. Hey, as we wrap this up, wow, what would you say to a young guy out there, or maybe even a young lady that is trying to break into the business? What
Um,
inspiration?
yeah, well, there's only 36 jobs, so.
Yeah,
But this is how I did it. I was sitting in an office looking at an Orange County business directory, and there was a full page ad for the Angels. I already had a radio background. I also used to sell advertising, and I was
yeah,
managing a regional radio station advertising sales effort. And I looked at that ad, and I picked up the phone, and I called, and I just asked for the guy that manages the guy that does the public address,
yeah,
and they connected me. And I said, I introduced myself. I told them about my radio background, doing commercials, all that sort of thing. That I love sports, love baseball, and do you need a backup? And if you don't need a backup, would you mind if I came over and just kind of shoulder hopped with your guy? And he said, yeah. Can you come tomorrow? And I came
Yeah, I'm back
tomorrow
east.
and I met the great David Courtney,
Oh,
who
David
passed away some
Courtney.
years ago.
Yeah.
He was the Angels. He did the
I think the
Kings,
Kings,
and
yeah.
I think he for a while he might have done the Rams
Oh,
and
yeah.
USC. Anyway, he was just amazing. He was my mentor. He taught me the ropes. He showed me everything. In fact, he was running the clock when I got my first radio gig with Jeannie Buss with the LA Blades, roller hockey, and he would just kind of coach me from the scoreboard machine because I'd be sitting just to the left of him, and so if I did something a little off, he would say, try it this way next time, and he was so cool about it, and I since 1994, I've been the backup for the Angels.
Yeah. Boy,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's 100% thanks to two things. David Courtney, of course, but also and this is the lesson for the kids that you asked me to tell about. You have an idea, just go for it and ask. You got to ask the question. You'll be surprised how many times the answer is going to be yes. I asked, "Hey, can I come down and shoulder hop your guy?" And he said, "Yeah." Just ask the question. That's all it
God,
takes. Pick
yeah.
up the phone. Don't text.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. Call and actually talk to somebody, and that'll get you in.
Legends never die. Yeah, that's the thing I always say. Hey, Phil, it's been such a pleasure. We got to do this again. I'd love to do a weekly thing with you and really get it out there too,
Oh
man.
my
I mean,
gosh.
yeah, I know your
Wait.
schedule's so cattywonk, but
Yeah.
man, oh man, we gotta do this again, man. It's been fun. I appreciate it. And I'm blessed. Um, Phil Hulett, public address announcer of the Anaheim Ducks. Hey, any final thoughts and let everybody know how they can get a hold of you again before we cut it out?
Yeah, philhewlett.com or just at Phil Hewlett at all the social media. And, hit me up. I'm happy to talk to whoever.
God bless you, man. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Breaking It Down podcast. We'll get this all out all over the place. It's been such a pleasure having him, and we'll get him back soon. I know that.